This is the Swarm and Shoot football show with me, Manny Matsakis, the head football coach at Defiance College. We feature Defiance College football and everything that influences our program. This show is brought to you by our friends at Big B Coffee right across campus on North Clinton Street. I'm actually having a cup right now, so everybody check it out on YouTube, and you can see the video of the cup and how delicious this beverage is. Get the finest coffee beverages, even tea, in Defiance, as well as great pastries, breakfast sandwiches to start your day off, and you can even get a pick-me-up like a lot of our coaching staff does in the afternoon. I'd also like to bring on board the maker of this fine apparel right here, and not just Nike, but we're talking about BSN Sports, all right? I'd like to bring on board our latest sponsor, BSN Sports, and Rob Held and his sales team are the professionals you need to get in touch with for all your sporting goods and apparel needs in Ohio. Not only do they work with high school and college sports teams, they also deliver outstanding apparel to businesses so they can brand themselves in a first-class manner. All right, well, welcome. We are on starting Season 2 of the Swarm and Shoot football show. We've got Lynn Groll, who you're going to be hearing a lot from this year. All fall, pretty much. And the plan is we're going to visit a little bit about the state of the program right now, and then take some moves forward. In the next few weeks, you will be getting interviews where Lynn is going to be interviewing seniors, then juniors, then sophomores, et cetera, all the way through the program, all the way to our freshmen. So we're going to have a bunch of longer and shorter interviews with everybody so we can show you what we have coming in. Welcome. How's it going, Lynn?
Good, Coach. How are you?
Awesome, man. So I'll let you have the mic at this point.
Yeah, it feels like football out there, but obviously you guys are not in the midst of games. What are you doing right now to prepare for what is the spring of 2021?
Yeah, right now, as of actually when this broadcast is out, we'll be just wrapping up our final social distancing practices. So at that point, we've been keeping them in groups for 2 weeks and small groups, 10, 15 guys in a group, spread out, pretty much having masks on when we're out there, not running, not in physical exertion mode where you can take your masks off. So we keep them in the same types of groups. We've been conditioning them, installing the offense, the defense, some of the kicking game, and to get to the point where we are today, because next week we will put full helmets, shoulder pads on, and we get to scrimmage because yesterday we do a random test of all of our guys. They all get COVID tested in groups. So the 30, 40 guys, depending on what we need to get tested. So each week, and that sets us up for a week to run a full contact practice, and we'll have 5 weeks of that.
Okay, yeah. Do you feel like you're getting acclimated to this kind of the new way of doing things?
It is. I mean, right now, we're looking at a roster that's the biggest that I've seen in a while, anywhere really that I have coached in, at least. So, 2/3 of the roster are freshmen or newcomers. So part of it is just teaching them our standard. This is how you practice to become a champion, and that's what we're working on. And it's a constant state of correction. That's what we're doing, and I think at this point, at least, they start to understand. And then as we move forward into next week's full contact practices, we'll be able to get a better assessment of what we have to do with everybody.
Is it challenging having to keep the group so small? Does that make it harder, or does that maybe make it easier because you can look at just a small group at a time with your coaching aspect of it?
Yeah, it lets me evaluate a little bit more. All our coaches evaluate, and guys will stand out a bit more because there's less guys in a group. But I think I like it because it's very similar to what Division I basketball does, where they get off-season type of small group workouts and they can work on technique. And a lot of time in our profession, we get so caught up in the scheme of everything that our technique suffers. And I think having a good, solid 10 days of what amounts to fundamental skills and drills and small group teaching can help young guys get a lot better. And we're very, very young. We only have 7 seniors, so we're very young again.
Take us through how many practices you get, because I know some people probably don't know how many you're going to get this fall leading into the spring, and then take that into you start your first game is late February. So when will you start preparing for spring as well, Coach?
Well, next Tuesday will be our first of those contact weeks. So we here are going to do 5 weeks of that. And as far as number of practices go, we get from when we just started a couple weeks ago, you get a total for the whole year of 114 opportunities to practice or play games. So each one, I've got to watch it because, at the end of the year, our last game is going to be April 10th or the 17th, depending on the bowl picture, how things could work out. So I've got to bank all these. I'm sort of counting backwards and counting forwards to count how many days we have into it. The plan will be we will go starting next week about 4 days a week, maybe 5. Oftentimes, and that includes like weightlifting where it's mandatory for the kids to be there. So we'll go 4 or 5 weeks. The plan will be on October 31st. We'll have our purple gold game that morning, that Saturday morning, so Halloween morning, and we'll have a blast with that. We'll light up like when Ohio State or Michigan has their spring game every year. That's what that'll be for us, and we will and a lot of evaluation time throughout this fall. So that's what we're looking at.
Is this almost kind of like a spring Division I type, what they would do in your mind, Coach?
It's better. I think it's better because they don't even get some of the OTA type stuff that we just finished. I like it. I really hope that nationally, because coaches at our level push for this because there's a massive retention piece. Like, I went to Capital University. I went there to play football and get a degree in biology. I mean, that's what it was. But honestly, if the football coaches never called me, I wouldn't have gone to Capital. Great school, nice area, all that stuff. I was going where I could get my degree and play football, even at the Division III level. So these young men that come here want to play their sport, and they want to be able to be as serious about it as as their friends that go to D2, D1 schools. So I'm hoping that we can push forward because in the past, Division III never had the opportunity to put helmets and shoulder pads on in the spring. So I think if we do it safely and we have got good, smart ways to keep guys healthy throughout the fall, we're going to try to push hard as a Football Coaches Association to get that to happen because that could be fantastic for just retaining players and developing them because I honestly think we're doing them a disservice the way it was done before because they don't really have a chance to physically get ready for the demands of the only collision sport that I know of right now. I mean, there's this, and I guess hockey would be another collision sport, but there's nothing else in college here that's a collision. There's contact sports. This is a collision sport. It's a different deal. Yeah.
Take us through the protocols and the safety that you're going through to keep these kids safe during this pandemic, Coach.
Well, when they come to practice, we make sure we temperature check them when they come in. Every position coach has a, thermometer. We write down everything, any symptoms and so forth. So we're doing that every day. Any meetings we have, anything, we're checking temperatures and so forth. The college are also doing some things where they do some testing of the whole campus, which I think is fantastic. And, I think our leadership here with our president, Dr. Mankey, has led this thing in a real positive way to make these to make our students feel safe. And there haven't been very many positive tests. But what does happen and does affect us is if there is one positive test on a hallway in the dormitories, then there might be 20 people going quarantine for 2 weeks. And then they have to come out and test. And for us, they're all tested negative when they came out, which is great. But they lost 2 weeks of practice. But from what I'm hearing from the Division I schools that have done this, they were doing this way back in the summer, that after about 6 weeks, eventually it flatlines out. You don't get any more positive tests because these kids really want to participate and play. So you don't have a whole lot of that going on. So you've got that, and then obviously the 5 weeks of random COVID testing when we're in contact period is the other part we're dealing with. And then we tell the players, it's like, look, wear your masks when you're out there, and all over campus, wear them. Unless you're drinking a cup of coffee or juice or something, you got to wear your mask. And then probably most importantly, when we're in practice, if you're not in a physical drill, we're teaching the guys just to mask up. And then when you go, and then you put it down. But they wear these. I've got one here I wear. It's like a gaiter. It's not really a mask per se, but it covers you up. And I just need one with some skull and crossbones or something cool on it. But you get the idea, of what we do. And the guys are getting used to it. And it's just become the norm for now. And, at some point, hopefully it all goes away and we're good to go. But that's what we're doing at this point.
Yeah. I want to ask you about recruiting because some states you recruit aren't playing football until next spring. Ohio obviously is playing right now. Michigan just started. Has it been challenging? Take me through the recruiting aspect of it and how maybe it's changed in those things, Coach.
Oh, it's changed considerably. Now, I do give our coaches, especially Chris Shank, who's our recruiting coordinator, a lot of credit, because we're able to bring, around 100 newcomers into this deal this year. And that's in the midst of COVID. I mean, our numbers increased, I think probably 30% from where our target was, and that's exciting. Even though the whole pandemic hit, for us it was unfazed. We unfazed it. It was like no big deal. We'll just crush this thing. Communicate even more to these players. We love to recruit coast to coast. We get the best players we can in Ohio that fit our program, and then we go everywhere because what we're noticing, this is a great place to live, and parents want them to be in a safe environment. So being here is a plus. So if you're from, a guy from Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, New Jersey, all these places we recruit, it's like their parents are like, well, shoot, let's look right in that county. And it's minimal compared to anywhere that most of these kids are from. So they get to come here and be safe, and they know that we're going to take care of them properly. So that recruiting process has been big. Our virtual recruiting visit online, we were actually the first ones to do it through an e-course, the way that we did it. I mean, we talked about this before, coast to coast, coach saying, how did you do this? Let me look at what you're doing. I'm talking major colleges have asked us how you do this. And we're revamping that now because that's going to be part of our recruiting package now as we develop this to let these players understand this is what it's like to be a Yellow Jacket. So I think that's big. We're ramping up the social media a lot more. We're also going... I believe we have to go more old school. In other words, handwritten notes, put stuff in the mail, snail mail, get it to them so they have a physical copy of things. The more of that we do, then we're one of the few that do that. And I'm all about, whatever it takes to reach these guys. And that was actually Coach Shank's idea of, hey, let's go back to writing notes, sending hard copies of information, and make sure they understand this is a great place to be. And it's working out. We're getting high quality people and good numbers already in next year's class, 2021.
Yeah. You get done with your fall practices here. You have your scrimmage on Halloween. Take me through November, December, January. When then will you start preparing for that first game in late February?
Well, the take right now is that when we come out of October 31st, then we go back. We can have these social distance practicing, so we have to keep them apart and do some things with those guys then, which is great, and all the way till Thanksgiving. We'll also ramp up our weightlifting at that point. And I've got to go buy some more equipment because we can't put them all in the weight room. You can't put 140 guys in a weight room because right now the max number is like 20, 25. There's much less. It would take us all day to lift our team. So we are I'm working on some fundraising to get some things taken care of where I can go buy some more bars and rubber plates, all the things that we need, and put them out in the shed outside. We'll have outdoor lifting. It's not Muscle Beach in California, but you know what?
Get them acclimated to the weather, right?
Get ready, So we'll do that, and then come Thanksgiving, the school goes back to online. So our players will finish their classes all the way through finals online, and then come back in January, and we'll start some lifting at that point to get them ready. And February 1 is training camp. February 27th, we have our opener against Franklin. It's away. Our first two games are away. Franklin and Rose-Hulman are away. So February 27th is the opener for us out there, and it gives us an opportunity to see, how much we've developed these guys over the last 5 or 6 months, which we have a lot more developing to do than most, certainly everybody in our conference, because we have the least number of seniors going in to this spring season.
Yeah, obviously it would be easier if you have a veteran team in this situation, but this is kind of a blessing that you're getting this fall practice to get prepared for spring almost, I'm sure.
If I'm Hanover, Rose-Hulman, Manchester, Mount St. Joe's, Anderson, anybody. Every single one. The only one that could be an issue, and he's probably fired up, is at Franklin right now, because that's a brand new head coach. So, he's taken over there, for Coach Leonard, and he's probably loving it because he gets a chance to develop guys just like us. So who knows how that game will come out, but it'll be real based on how well we recruited. And then the other thing is we're going to be looking for certain positions to get some guys to come in January at mid-year. And we've had a handful of our players that opted out of the fall. So they stayed home for COVID reasons, and so they're going to come back in January, and we should get those guys back, and that'll increase our roster as well coming into the schedule.
Thoughts on the team so far, and I know you've had limited access to them. Give me some positives, some concerns that maybe you have going into next spring.
I'd say positives are enthusiasm. Culture is already starting to build. I know it's about to build big in the next 5 weeks. I believe that most we're just good people. A lot of these guys are really good people. So, when you recruit a big class of nearly 100 newcomers, you're always concerned because, part of it is you're recruiting good football players that are solid students, but you're also recruiting some numbers because that's what the great programs do. Like a Mount Union will sit here, who we play in a couple of years, is, they'll sit there bringing 120 to 140 kids in an incoming class, knowing full well that there might be, 10, 12 players that they didn't know were really good football players that end up being starters and great players for them. And then you want to have it so you've got 30 seniors in your class. When we get to that point, I believe, we can challenge and have a conference championship here.
Yeah. Give me some perspective on your schedule next spring, your thoughts on what you're going to see February, March, April next year, Coach.
Well, hopefully everything works out after the election and COVID goes away. Okay. Now that's just a tongue-in-cheek deal. But, you understand it's like when this thing goes and we have a vaccine and all this stuff happens where we're in a little bit different situation, then I think we're dealing less with the stuff that that schools that are playing right now are, because, you lose a guy and then it's contact tracing, and then all of a sudden you better have your offense ready to go without your starting quarterback, which I've seen already this year a couple times. So the schedule itself, hopefully I just want to see us where we were in some blowouts before. I want to see us compete, take it into the fourth quarter with a chance to win against every opponent on our schedule. So if we can get to that and then, gauge our toughness, see what we've got, and then come out with some victories on the other end of this thing, then we'll be where we need to be at this point at Defiance College in our football program. So it's all about competing. We're going to throw the gauntlet down this fall and get our guys to, push themselves like they've never pushed before, but in a smart way. And then take a run at it, because everyone's got a shot. We're only playing each other in our conference.
Yeah, and you talked about a bowl game.
Yeah,
give us.
I've just heard it, and even on the graphics are all saying, hey, there's a potential bowl game week 8, so that would be April 17th. So I know our commissioner, Jay Jones, is working on talking to other conferences that are playing more in the spring, which many are. So if he can find somebody, I doubt it can be the OAC because they're trying to do a deal where they only play 5 games, less games, so they can get a redshirt year, another year back. So they're trying to save all their seniors another year. So it could be maybe if the MIAA is doing it, there's, I don't know what the NCAC is doing. There's a few other leagues out there. If we can get some type of a matchup at the end, one
It'd be
against
an
one.
out-of-conference game is what they're talking about. That's
what they're talking about. Or, and we had discussions way back about this before the COVID thing ever hit. We brought up the potential of doing what the Big Ten is actually going to be doing, and at the end is lining up, 1 against 2, or they're going cross conference deal, but
1-1, 2-2,
yeah. So we could at the end, you've got the 8 teams in the league. We could say, okay, 1 plays 2, then 3 plays 4, and go all the way down to get the 8th game. I haven't heard that as a definite yet, as a backup plan if we don't get a bowl game. But I'd be all for that because every opportunity to play gets these guys a little bit better. Usually the only person that gets upset about that is whoever won the league in his first place, and then they got to play the 2 for the championship. They thought they won the league. I'm like, if I win the league, I want a shot at anybody, any day. Let's go play number 2 right now. I don't care. But I've heard hesitancy by that, and I think, come on, man. It's like, let's play the game. It doesn't matter. In the end, why not put it down on the line? Because perennially, our conference hasn't done a great job in the freaking playoffs, and that's bothersome to me. So we want to make sure we get somebody that's used to winning in the postseason that may help us do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for the updates, Coach.
I appreciate it.
Good talking to you again. We'll see you again soon.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lynn. Thank you for joining us on this latest episode of the Swarm and Shoot Football Show. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure to subscribe in iTunes, give us a rating, comment on the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell in the top corner there so you can get notifications when we release the next show. Feel free to comment below on a specific show and we'll answer those questions as we need to. If you'd like to step up to the next level and get all kinds of updates, go to our website, swarmandshoot.com, where you'll get up-to-date alerts on all of our podcasts. You'll have the audio on there. There's actually a video player where you can scroll through each and every episode that we have of the podcast from the YouTube version. So you never really have to leave the site. You'll also see some features on various players, our coaching staff bios, all types of things going on in our program, when our golf scramble is, different fundraisers we do, just insights for you that take you to that next level, which is what swarmandshoot.com will do for you. Take a minute and subscribe with your email. When you log on, there'll actually probably be a pop-up about 6 seconds into it, and it gives you a chance to go in, and that will put you into our email database. So every time we update, you get an email knowing that we're basically set to go on the next episode of the podcast or any news that's coming out. Appreciate you supporting the program, and look forward to a wonderful season.